Good evening, everyone, and we open this new meeting from our Insider Meeting series with a very interesting and still tough topic, very large. On behalf of my team, the Marketing Institute of Romania, we welcome you all, and we are so excited to have together tonight with us a student and an alumna, Maria Popescu, and I will invite Maria to present herself and introduce also her partner. You all know the topic of tonight's meeting, and we assigned Maria and Oren, who are here with us today, with tough questions regarding marketing budgets, and hopefully we'll have a lot of insights together. Welcome, everyone. Please do use the chat for questions. We'll have a Q&A at the end of our meeting. We'll try to involve you with several questions so that we have a lot of information and insights from you as well. And hopefully we'll have a well-invested hour tonight to inspire us to cleverly use every cent for happy customers and growing businesses. Welcome, Maria. Welcome, Oren.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Maria and Oren. Together we are TMM, Terramin Mesh Marketing, but we prefer TMM. We met 4 years ago, but both of us came from marketing and project management field. I started to be in contact with marketing about 10 years ago, I would say, but more clearly 6 years ago or even 5 years ago, when I realized that I need to do something else. And in the morning, I think it was January 1st, after New Year's Eve, I texted Oana and I started to be a student. After I finished, I met Oren, and like this, we started to build the agency. At the beginning, we were with only 2-3 clients, but after that, we grew, and recently we felt this need to share our knowledge, and that's why we get in contact with you, and here we are today. Hopefully you will enjoy. I will let Oren to present the topic, and I really wish that you will put as many questions as you need. It was very difficult for us to cover all the ideas and everything that we wanted to share with you, but hopefully we will have this meeting again, and we'll cover all the other subjects that we couldn't cover right now. And of course, we will wait your questions even after this meeting. If you have questions, you can text us, email us, whatever, and we'll be more than happy to answer to you.
Great. Thank you, Maria, for the for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Like Maria said, my name is Oren. So let's just dive in to the subject. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere, and we have very limited time. So what we're going to cover today is going to be goals and criteria for Google and social platforms. It's very important to understand that before we are actually deciding what to budget and how to budget and how much, we are actually understanding what the goals of each platform is. Now, this is more about mine and Maria's research over the years and a lot of testing. This is knowledge based on a lot of testing, so you guys don't have to do all this testing on your own. Afterwards, we're going to cover budgets and budgets across the platforms. And like Maria said, at the end, a quick Q&A of only 15 minutes, unfortunately. So let's dive in. So a bit of obvious background. We all go through this. What do we get through the digital marketing? Of course, digital presence, a lot of recognition. We create awareness, credibility, which is very important. And then at the end of it, we have the direct contact with the clients. Through the awareness, our main goal is going to be to create a community. How we do that is through very, very good storytelling, which is a subject for a whole other time about how to create a proper storytelling. And the main goal is conversion. May it be a sale, it could be a contact, depending on what field you're in. If you're in e-commerce, of course, it's going to be a purchase. If you're not, then it could be a WhatsApp contact or a chat, and so on and so forth. So the main channels, obviously there are a lot more channels than these. However, these are the main channels that the majority of companies today in the world use. We have Google. We use Google mainly for performance. When we look at performance, we're talking about end of the funnel or bottom of the funnel people. These are the people that have the most intent in asking for the product that we're selling. May it be a sale, if you're a service, then an appointment, or any other service that you're actually promoting. Meta is mainly used on our end for awareness, a lot of consideration, and a small portion of it we actually use for sales, mainly for remarketing sales, post-purchase sales, meaning people that have already purchased on your site, made an appointment, and we are trying to get them to come back again. The newest platform, and it's becoming bigger and bigger, is TikTok. This is mainly used for awareness. Again, mainly in Romania at the moment, we see that the market is not utilizing TikTok as it is in the rest of the world. Just a quick note, in the rest of the world, TikTok is very, very much used for sales as well. In Romania, it's still not mature enough. So we use this as a great awareness platform because we receive massive amounts of awareness for a very, very, very low amount of money. So one of the main things that we do before talking about budgets, we want to understand what type of product you are selling. Are you an impulsive product or are you a need? Now, if it's an impulsive buy, for example, a fashion, depending on your mood. So if you're a mood buyer, you're scrolling and you see a nice piece of clothing and you're like, okay, let's just add to cart and get it. Social channels are going to be a lot more helpful because it's visual. Most people today work with visual aids in order to create those purchases. Something looks nice. Sometimes you see on the social media something smells nice, smell transfers. Then social media will be the best channel for that. However, if there's a need, for example, a clinic, insurance, supplements for the pharmaceutical field, then Google will be your main platform because this is an intent platform. People are going to actually search for what you need. When we have companies like these, when our partners are in these fields, we use social media a lot more for awareness, brand notoriety, and mainly to increase the brand recognition, to build the trust with the end client and the prospects. Now, how do we translate this into results? Every partner that we work with, every company has their own more or less KPIs that they want to use. The main KPIs that we look at when it comes to Google, like we said, it's an intent platform. So the first thing is either ROAS or CPA. ROAS, cost per conversion, divided by the conversion value divided by the cost, literally means the return on the ad spend. So if I spend 1 lei, how much did I get? Cost per conversion, usually use more when it comes to services. How much does it cost me for 1 acquisition? And then there are the KPIs that we use in order to understand how our ads are actually performing if they are not selling. So then you have the CTR, which is the click-through rate, how many people that saw the ad actually came to our website, the amount of clicks, and average CPC. CPC is cost per click, and we want to understand how much we are paying per person to come to our sites. As an example on Google, we would see something like this. So these are our names for the way we structure our campaigns. This is an e-commerce, by the way. Can't use the name, sorry. So as you can see, cost per conversion value divided by the cost, we see how much money is returned back to us for each sale. This is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was the month of April. For this client, cost divided by conversion is what we talked about, the CPA. How much did it cost me to bring back one client? And then, like we talked about, the CTR, the clicks, and the average CPC. So this is what it would look like on your Google platform. Going into social media, so these are the KPIs, the KPIs that we look at when we're looking at more awareness and consideration levels. One of the main things that concerns a lot of people is the average cost per 1,000 impressions, CPM. There's a very low benchmark in Romania, and you want to be on those benchmarks. Remember that the CPM goes up or down based on how broad your audience is. So the broader the audience is, the lower the cost is of the CPM. Afterwards, you want to see your reach and impression. How many accounts have you reached? Whenever you look at the social media KPIs on Meta Business Platform, the reach is going to show you how many Meta accounts you've reached. Does not mean how many people you reached, because some people have one Instagram account and one Facebook account. You might have targeted them both. Some people might have 2 and 2. So remember that this is the amount of accounts that are reached. Impressions, I'm assuming everyone knows that this is the amount of impressions, how many times your ad have shown to your target audience. Landing page views and frequency. Frequency we look at in order not to showcase our ads too many times with the same creatives. Just as a side note, we try to reach around this frequency of 3-4 per creative. Once we reach that, usually we see that people get tired and it becomes white noise when people start scrolling the feed. That's why you want to keep the frequency at a good amount. 3 to 4 is perfect, and then switch the creatives to target the exact same people. If you do performance on Meta, ROAS should be a very, very good, once again, KPI, return on your investments. And that is something that obviously when it comes to, especially when it comes to remarketing, this KPI should be higher than just a new client conversion. So the way it would look on the Meta platform is something along this line. Once again, we see the results. As you can see, our remarketing campaign has a nice ROAS versus our reach, traffic, and engagement, which are not the goals to create purchases. We see that the ROAS is lower, but again, that is not the intention of these campaigns. Reach is more there for awareness, traffic a bit more for consideration, and the remarketing is obviously to create the sales at the end. So when it comes to social media, how do we funnel it down? So on the top of the funnel, we use campaign types like brand awareness and reach. This is mainly to create a lot more interest around the brand itself. If you're dealing with a product, then around the product. More general education, not trying to push the sell right away. This is usually the best case when it comes to awareness. Once you have a nice enough amount of traffic, you usually want to funnel them down to the consideration stage. This is where people start to evaluate the product and the brand itself. So this is where you're sending them already to the traffic, via traffic ads to bring them to the website. This is where you start creating engagement. So engagement ads are very powerful because communities start to talk to each other. People start to comment, whether they try the product, whether they try the brand, and they see how other people's engaged with that. All the way down to conversions. Once again, you could do this on social media. We prefer doing this stage on Google because this is a very intense platform. People will actually search for what they need to buy at the moment. Now let's go into the question. So how do we effectively allocate investment in campaign budgets across digital platforms? And in normal day terms, how do we actually split the budget, right? This is mainly the question. So before we actually do that, when we partner up with someone with a new company, we usually try to place them in one of the 4 segments. Now, we try to look at how established the brand is in the Romanian or in that country's, we'll call it associative connection. Now, we divided it into 4, we'll call it umbrella subjects, because obviously each pillar has few breakdowns. Some brands, some companies will be in between. So the brands that we would look at is, first of all, you would have your established brands. Now, an established brand is the brand that would have immediate correlation when looking at it. For example, the moment you see a Coca-Cola ad, even before they show the brand name of Coca-Cola, you would know what the product is. There's usually a lot of trust. It's older companies that have managed to do this. And it's not only worldwide companies, you also have regional established brands such as Pepco in Romania. You have Musette, for example, as a very, very good local brand that any person that's looking for actually high-end local shoes or bags will obviously think about Musette. Then you have established products that is not the actual brand. And I'll give a great example of one of our favorite clients, Secom. I'm sure some of you have heard of them, some of you have not. Those who have kids probably heard of them more, but they are the main importer of the product Child Life. Now, Child Life is a product in itself, and Secom is known thanks to that actual product. And a lot of people, when you ask them who is Secom, they wouldn't know. But if you would tell them one of their sub-brands or sub-products that they actually sell, people actually already associate them with the product. So once again, the brand is not known, or the brand is known thanks to its products that it's selling. Then we have the niche known brands. So you are aware of the products that they sell, but only if you're in the niche. So for example, if you're in the bio cosmetic niche, maybe a company like BioCart rings a bell. But if you've never touched a bio product or a bio cream or skincare, you might have never ever encountered them. Another example is aesthetic clinics. If you're in a proper region and you're doing your homework about an aesthetic surgery that you would want to need to do, you would already be familiar with the brands themselves in that region. And then you have the new companies, which unfortunately are not known on the market. There is no trust behind them, no history. These are, of course, the toughest brands to push. And here we would want to push the majority of the things would be around awareness and creating that trust behind it. As an example, I don't know if any of you have heard of Les Vacances d'Irina, which is a very, very niche type of clothing. Some of the Bucharest area might have heard of her. We also have Ostyle, which is a new hairstyling product that has become very, very popular thanks to TikTok, and Christina Batlan. So these are really, really new companies that we need to create an authority behind. Now, for each of these pillars, we have a different strategy and a different approach on how we actually want to promote them. So we're actually going to dive into that. And I think that this was the main question that everyone's asking themselves. So when it comes to established brands, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, no one is actually pushing the products themselves except for the retailers. For example, Carrefour and Auchan might actually be pushing the product themselves. However, the brands themselves do not push their own product because it's already known by association. So they would create fun ads, more awareness ads, like this beautiful competition that Cola and Pepsi had. Musette at the moment, for example, is not creating any ads at all. There's only they're so focused on their organic and growing the quality of their products that there's no need for anything like that. However, when we do receive a company like this on this level, we really try to avoid spending any money on I won't say on Google, but on intent purchased campaigns. We usually put the majority of our focus around awareness and the consideration. So we do like to split the budget 50-50. The awareness there is simply to constantly remind the clients, the end client, whenever they encounter our brand, don't forget to purchase it. And this is really, really, really great when for brands such as Musette, when they're only promoting collections as opposed to individual products. So when you're pushing a collection, then in the client's mind already, okay, they have a new collection, I'm gonna go check out the line of collection. I'm not going there for one specific product. And this is why when it comes to awareness and consideration, this is where we would spend the money. The majority of companies in Romania that we've been working with are on this level, which is the established products, but not brands. Meaning that they are pushing products that have become really well known on the market. However, the brand itself is not known. So we work with a great company called iHunt. It's a great technological company. They create their own mobile phones, which are called rugged phones. Side note, the rugged phone is pretty much an unbreakable phone. They actually have a lot of testing on it. They actually smash it with hammers, run over it with cars, and nothing happens to the car. Whenever we see a brand like this that's really, really good in selling products, of course, the majority of the money should go to conversions. This is where the majority, this is where the bread and butter is. These companies are thriving on the sales of these products. However, they're also looking to create more notoriety. Now, this notoriety helps them to expand in new markets and also helps them expand in the local market for people that have not heard of them. Unless you're in that niche, of course, you've never heard of them. So we would, like I said, we would put 50% of the budget in the conversions, mainly on Google, because like I said, Google is a very, very intense platform. So if you're looking for a rugged phone, you know what a rugged phone is, you would simply go to Google and type it in. And as you can see, the majority of results will come for iHunt itself. 10% we would put in Meta in order to create remarketing, because they don't only sell rugged phones and they sell other products. We would remarket the people that have purchased anything on their site with a different catalog. Simultaneously, we would go up a funnel and focus 20% on consideration. Now, in these specific cases, we usually see that the consideration level is usually not taken care of, meaning there's a lot of traffic and no one knows what to do with that traffic. So we would bring in traffic and we need to build trust. This is usually the reason why this level of people have not purchased and not went to the conversion phase. We would put it down. Sorry, I got distracted with the chat. We would take those people and try to create a better funnel in order to create to move them from the consideration page to the conversion. Now we only put here 20% because on these levels you usually need a lot more massive amounts of traffic to funnel them down. So the more traffic you have, or the more awareness you have reached and boosts, the more people will start coming to your site. And on that level, you need to start creating more and more trust in order for them to convert into a client. All right. when it comes to niche known brands, there are two types of brands. So we segment them into I mean, there are more, of course, but we segment them into two main ones. So first of all, the ones that are one-time purchases. So we work with a brand called Purifio, which sells the Bugetele here in Romania. Now, usually if you buy one, you don't need one for the next 10 years. Therefore, you only know them if you actually need it. And this is always going to be a Google Ads sale. Simply because there is no remarketing, there's no reason for them to try to create any awareness. If you need the brand, there's usually a small amount of those brands that actually sell this. And what you need is a very, very strong website. And to be sure that when someone does search your keywords, you're always first. The next niche brands are the most difficult ones. These are usually the brands, like I said, that are still not really, really well known in the market. But if you're in that niche, you have come across them. In these scenarios, we actually want to create a lot more awareness and consideration as a whole. So you'll see that 60% of our budgets usually go to these levels. Now, the reason for that is because usually whoever's in the niche is already going to purchase from one of these brands just because they are usually the top brands in the niche. So yes, Google Ads will be there. And whenever there's great offers, we would remarket to the same clients on social media. Usually what these companies are missing is a lot more traffic. So usually a lot of consideration and building the trust with people that have come across them but have decided to buy elsewhere. Because it's a niche, remember that the competition is usually much lower. And when it's much lower, you need to have a lot of trust from the people that actually come to your site. Afterwards, we put another 30%, like I said, in reach and boost. Once again, to create a great awareness, to bring in new people to come across your company. On these levels, by the way, as a quick tactic, use exclusion lists. So when you're creating reach and boost ads, exclude the people that have visited your site more than once, and exclude the previous buyers or people that have added to cart. Once you do that, you're going to see that you're getting a fresh new amount of audiences to bring them in through the consideration and obviously afterwards through the conversion. New brands have the exact opposite needs of what we talked about up to now. New brands need a lot more awareness. These are brands that are really, really not known, and they require building, first of all, awareness before even touching the trust. So you'll see the split here. 50% will always go to awareness and boosting ads, and only then we put 30% in the consideration phase. Like I said, traffic, engagement, influencers, if you have the budget for it. Some of them could be very expensive. And as you'll see, only 20% of the ads of the budget goes to Google Ads, like I said, which is intent. Now, this has to shift. You cannot stay in this positioning forever. Otherwise, you're never going to be making money. Usually, we suggest staying in this stage where you're until you're kind of more or less break even. Whenever you see that your ROAS is around 1, that's when you would want to shift the budget again. Maybe add another 10% to conversion, take away a bit more from awareness, and try to dissect what the audience is actually doing. If you all have Google Analytics, obviously that's probably one of the best tools to understand how to segment your audience. I know that Juana has a lot of literature on Google Analytics, so use it. Okay. Now, one of the questions that was asked here was, how do we optimize investments for the short, medium, and long-term goals? Now, this is a really, really, really huge subject, but we're gonna do a few recommendations that might actually help you start. So in the short term, we usually suggest reinvesting about 30% of your new revenue, meaning any new money that comes in from ads, take 30% of that and reinvest it back into performance. You're going to see that slowly, you're starting to scale. and you're reaching brand new audiences that are simply going to create you a lot more new money. During the medium term, if you're looking 6 months, 1 year down the line, invest a lot in the consideration. Now, the reason is that if you're already 6 months, you've probably invested a lot of budget to your awareness, meaning that if there's so much traffic in the awareness and they're still not converting, this means that they're still stuck in the consideration phase. And more cases than not, we focus on the consideration stage with a lot more clients than we want to, simply because no one has ever dealt with these clients. In the long term, there are two things that we usually suggest. The first thing is obviously to increase your notoriety and your visibility. So go back to creating lifetime value by creating nice big awareness ads about the brand itself, the umbrella brand. At the same time, for long term, make sure that you have a good client return ratio. Usually a good, for example, email base. If you have a good email base, 20 to 30% of your revenue should be coming from your own newsletters. You shouldn't be spending a lot of money on these returning customers. If you're less than 20%, you should look at how you can actually make your email lists better and your email flows better. We've boosted companies from 10% returning to 30% returning just by making the email flows better. Very, very important to focus on that, especially long term if you want to grow. Quick conclusion. The main thing that we do whenever we onboard a new partner is we're always looking at what type of brand they are. Now, more than that, we try to dig deeper to understand how the client, the end client that would actually come to you and purchase from you, would actually perceive you. So not only you as a brand, but you as your product. So if you're selling a product and a client comes to you, we need to understand how does the client perceive the product. So if he's not trusting in the brand, of course, he won't trust the product. And vice versa is also correct. If he trusts the product, but the product is not good, he's going to start trusting the brand. Therefore, you need to make sure that your products are always the best that they can be in order for them to start trusting the brand more and more and more. And this is one of the first things that we always look at when coming into a new partnership. Make sure that you know how to define your audience. So if you're a bio consumer or a bio company, make sure that you know how to interact with your bio users. A lot of companies that we see before we onboard them simply try to mass market, and they believe that the same marketing strategy that works for one type of audience will work for the exact opposite audience. And once you start splitting the audience, may it be male, female, different age groups, testing out creatives and texts for each one, you'll see that everything just starts to boost up. When coming to splitting the budgets, be sure to choose which platform you're using wisely. So remember, we like to use Google as an intent platform. So my question to you would be, do you have enough audiences to create intent? Are there enough people that are looking for your product? Or is your product so brand new that you need to be sure that people are aware of you? On another scale, you'll see that all of a sudden your ROAS on Google is very, very low, although you have massive amounts of users on your site. And we had this example not long ago. We had a site that had 400,000 users in the last 6 months, and only, I think it was 5,000 users converted, meaning 395,000 people that came to the site did not convert. Why? Most likely no trust. And this is just where we're at. This is why we need to choose our platforms based on our audience. Make sure also that you're allocating the budget on every single level of the prospect's journey. Now, there are 4 levels. There's the awareness level, the consideration level, the purchase, and then the post-purchase, the remarketing level. Use each platform wisely for each type of stage on the funnel. The best thing we can always suggest is to test a lot. Test every channel, test every creative, test different audiences, test different strategies. You're going to find the perfect mix. And once you find the perfect mix, start all over. Test once again the audiences, the creatives, and so on, because audiences are constantly changing. Taking again the example of the bio world, there are more and more everyday new consumers in the bio level because someone read a great article all of a sudden that wants to switch from one type of skincare to bio skincare. Remember, testing is usually key. 45 minutes, like I promised Juana. So let's do it. All right, so questions. So, may I start answering, Juana, or is there any conclusion?
Sure. Thank you so much, Oren, because we are so keen for questions and also for feedback. So I would urge anyone to just give us also feedback directly here in the chat or also in the poll, because it's so useful. And you've my expectations are more than met, as this new format. This new format had, one problem, one solution examples, but I guess you gave more, because our biggest problem is to wisely use budgets. We have this pressure, and you gave us more. First, so many ways of thinking, looking, investigating things, and so many ideas to audit and to diagnose what's actually happening. And also so many examples in so many contexts, because we are a lower audience here, but we have so many situations and problems. So I would rather let you answer. Marinella has the first question.
So the question is, how do we approach ratio investment in SEO campaigns versus performance awareness? So I'm going to be very blunt, and I'll give a very, very blunt answer. SEO for us is dying out, and I'll explain why. So it's going to depend on what brand you are. So if you're not a big brand or a big player in the market, SEO will be irrelevant for you. And this is based on proper case studies. So I'm not saying it out of nothing. The amount of money that you're spending on SEO, usually you will see a return, most likely not positive, in 3 to 6 months from now. Therefore, we have proven several times that that same budget that you use in creating SEO is usually bringing you back a lot more value through ads. Now, when it comes to performance ads, one of the things to remember in relation to SEO, that performance ads also have a ranking on your site. So it also helps with your SEO because it actually elevates you because you're having more traffic to your site. Therefore, I would say, first of all, if you're not a big brand in the market, I would look at how much you're spending on SEO, and I would see if that budget would probably be utilized better in performance and awareness. I hope I answered that.
Are you happy, Marinella? Are you happy? I guess some of our experts in SEO might say the same, and we had a very valuable meeting on SEO ROI with one of our dear collaborators, Bogdan Dumitrache from the factory, and he always insists in calculating when you have return and when you have not. And
yes.
They are good specialists in SEO, but also using all the tools. Thank you so much, Oren.
Thank you for the question. Any more questions?
I have one more.
Sure.
What can you tell us from your experience with working with the brands about how to approach the market when there is a very big competition regarding the prices? So,
All right. So usually when it comes
transactional, if it is a very transactional market in which a company or a brand operates, how do you deal with that?
All right, so the first thing we always try to focus on the USPs of the brands. Now we've noticed that if the value for that extra, usually it's an extra delta that's added to a price in comparison to another company, we usually see that if the added value is worth it and it's communicated properly, the end client usually has no issue paying that extra amount. So I would really push the focus on the USP that you give above that specific pricing versus trying to compete with the price. I hope that I mean my thought process was clear in that sense. Most people and so if you're competing in a price market, most people would still click on your ad, even though they see that your price is a bit higher, because people are interested to understand why is this price higher. Now, if your website is properly built and you can show why your USPs are better than your competition, usually they wouldn't mind purchasing from your site. So it could be bundled products, for example, that counteract the higher price. It could be buy one, get loyalty points, for example. Accumulate enough loyalty points, come into a competition, or or get discounts for your tiers that you go into. We usually believe that if you have a higher price, then the reason for it needs to be communicated, because people are thirsty for knowledge. I mean, for us as well as consumers, all of us, the moment you see a higher price, your first question is, why can they sell it at cheaper than they do? And the reasoning is usually much easier. And it simply needs to be communicated. Because I am a more trustworthy brand, I make sure that every product that comes through my store is of the highest quality. I can give you more for the same money, and so on and so forth. It's not one solution. The main key is usually communication. And landing page. I mean, most times than not, and I will give Secom as an example. We do compete with them on a higher market, on a pricing base. Usually their actual distribution or distributors charge less for the same product. And we counteract that specifically through their landing pages, showing the value of the core business versus their actual distribution. Check it out. I hope I did answer your question. But I would advise drilling down to your USPs and making sure that that's properly communicated to the clients. All right. Next question is, what approach do you recommend for a niche brand with a very low to no Google searches? Great. So no Google searches means there is no brand awareness. So I would create brand awareness on two levels. First of all, generic brand awareness about the brand itself. And if you're selling also a product, then also communicating awareness ads around the brand, the product itself. Now, in time, you should start seeing more and more searches for that product. Now, it's kind of a generic question, so it's kind of difficult to answer precise. But I would say make sure that you invest a lot, or the majority of your budget in creating a bit more notoriety around what you are doing. Once you do that, If you have no competition, you should be the sole person to benefit from the Google searches. We've seen that happen as well here. It takes time. There is no magic pill here that tomorrow morning you're going to have from 0 Google searches to 1 million. It takes time. You need to be patient, and you need to build it strategically. So once again, focus on the awareness at the beginning, move on to the consideration, and slowly, you're going to start seeing Google searches. How often should I create the ads report to prove that they are working and generate the results? I know that this is not a standard period, but what is the best practice based on your experience? So first of all, any new ad that you're creating needs about 2 weeks to actually optimize, especially if you are a new brand or a newer brand. I wouldn't create a new report without waiting at least 2 weeks. By the way, we also do not adjust budgets without giving 2 weeks for the algorithms to actually update themselves. In some cases, you could do it every 3 days in terms of budgeting, but definitely in terms of reporting, you have to give it at least 2 weeks, literally 14 days of consistent running. Remember that every time you change something in an ad, the ad learning phase and the algorithms are resetting themselves. So if you're changing something based on based on a report that you took up after 3 days, you're restarting the whole process all over again. So definitely give it the 14 days before taking out a new report. Next question. For a brand with established products that does not sell directly, right? Example, a distributor that sells through retailers. What channel and objectives would you recommend to use in order to increase sell out of the retailer? Fantastic. All right, so this is definitely product awareness and consideration. Now, I'm actually going to give you a strategy on what to do. And we've seen this strategy work really, really, really well on Meta. So I hope you're writing it down. All right, so we would create 3 campaigns on Meta. The first one with the objective of reach, the second one with the objective of traffic, and the third one with the objective of engagement. Now, the idea behind that, first of all, is the awareness. To create a lot of awareness, you're getting a lot of people seeing your ad, your product, for a very, very, very low budget. Next would be traffic, of course, to bring them into the consideration phase. Once you see a consideration and a good amount of traffic that comes in, you know that you're doing your work. Now, the engagement is there to start creating conversation. There's no better conversation. There's no better awareness and consideration than people actually giving their opinion, whether it's good or bad, right? I mean, we're very against deleting comments from engagement ads, even if they're bad. We actually seen a lot of times that people come out and say, if one person said, oh my God, this product was horrible, another one comes in and says, what are you talking about? This was a phenomenal product that saved my life. Now, by creating these 3 ads with these 3 intents, remember that Meta knows how to target the people for each type of segment. Again, give it time. This relates back to my previous answer. Give it 2 weeks. In this case, maybe even 1 month before changing anything. But by having all these 3 ads or ad types, you are going to increase your notoriety massively. So I hope that was a really helpful tip. And I hope you use it, and I hope you'll let us know how it was if you do use it. Thank you, Karina. I'm happy I can help.
Thank you so much, Oren. We see also the feedback from the participants, for the delegates, that it's been so useful and very useful.
Thank you very much.
The meeting.
Happy we can help.
And also,
I think we have time. One more. All right. What would be the minimum budget for 1 month? That is a very, very trick question, and it would depend on what type of brand you are. So I would say that if you have a good budget, use the most that you can use. It's really depends on what type of company or what type of brand and what the capital is behind it. I mean, I think that's a very individual question based on the actual company. So just to give maybe something small, I would say use 3 times your COGS. All right, so if your cost per product is 10 lei, multiply that by 3 and then multiply that by 10 as a starting point. I hope that that's a good enough answer, but that's usually what we do with low budgets. And usually that's when the questions come in, when it comes to low budgets. So that's usually our calculation. Hope that helped as well.
I dare to come with one more question, quite generic, and you have already answered to a large extent. Like from your experience with so many companies of different types, where are the most frequent wasted budgets and lost opportunities?
So lost opportunities, so it's not lost budget. Usually, what we see is companies spend more on awareness or performance. Most companies that we work with forget about the consideration phase. Now, the very easy way to focus on it is take the last 6 months, 12 months, whichever period you want, look at your Google Analytics. Check the new users columns, check the users columns. Check how many of them are returning. Take all the ones that haven't returned and imagine what chances you have with them because they already engaged with you. What are you doing with them? Stop funneling in more traffic that's creating new users and start moving that budget, either one funnel down or one funnel up, depending where you have the majority of the money, and start converting those people that are in that consideration phase. This is the best thing that you can do. Very quick way of doing it. Take your meta ads, exclude all your previous buyers. I think I said this before. Exclude your previous buyers. You actually can do that in the audience segments. And exclude all the people that have interacted with your company at least twice. You will see a massive amount of sales. Another thing I can say about that, start focusing on lifetime value. Stop looking for the one-time purchases. Calculate how much your lifetime value is worth. If I spend 1 lei today and I get it back in 6 months, is it worth it? If you're looking to get it back today, most likely you will not be able to scale your business. I hope that answered that.
Again, exceeding my expectations. Thank you so much, Oren. And thank you so much to our audience for taking their time. And I guess we have also their answers that it's been such a well invested hour with
thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate
so much
it.
inspiration and tips and tricks. And the good news for all of us, I guess, is that we will have also the recording and brief presentation. And
yes.
I will put you in touch, and I will share your contact data so that anyone could get in touch with you with some more questions. And another great news is that we will meet again with Maria and Oren on a more technical topic of GA4, Google Analytics 4, which we are still lacking in tips and tricks on how to better look at the results. So thank you so much, Oren and Maria. Maria, what do you have to say?
Maria's here.
I'm here, but, Oren, the talker, I let him. And he really knows how to explain everything. So
thank you, Maria.
I'm enjoying writing the presentations and he's enjoying writing them.
I would ask you, Maria, how do you find this energy? Because I know how many meetings you had today, how many campaigns.
Yes, basically, the last meeting we had today was finished 15 minutes before. Yes, because we really like what we do.
We love what we do. Yeah.
I think we take the energy from this and from the people actually, because we like one-to-one meetings, face-to-face meetings. So yeah.
So thanks a lot to all of you, because this is what we say here, that we take energy and inspiration from each other in this community of practice. So hope to see you soon in June. I guess it's 6th of June. Tomorrow you will be receiving what I promised, and put you all in touch with Maria and Oren, and hopefully it's been so useful, because my hidden intention was to show you also the example of one student, her journey from just wanting.
Actually, I really want to thank you one more time, Mana, for everything, because basically I have this feeling that I started with you this fight. So thank you one more time.
With us, because we are a team, and like you, you are not just partners, you have a whole team of specialists with you. So we also have a big team here, and especially our colleagues in the UK. So thanks a lot, everyone. And
thank you very much.
We'll keep this community close. I'm so glad to see you all, and keep us close in our community, and we'll do our best to get you in contact together.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Well invested budgets to everyone, and have a great evening. See you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.